Alright guys, welcome back. So if you have not seen my first video in this series, I will link it down below. We got to this point with our base, bronzer, contour, and everything, and now we are going to move on to enhancing our eyes for our perfect flawless makeup look. So I'm gonna scoot you guys in a little bit closer, and then we're gonna start on eyes. Okay, so before any type of eyeshadow look, you always want to prime and prep the eye area. So I'm using the Urban Decay Primer Potion. Just swiping a little bit on each lid. That was probably far too much. And then using your ring finger, a synthetic brush, or beauty blender, just blend that out. So just like our face, we don't want to apply shadow or darker colors directly onto a wet surface. So we're going to lightly set this area just using whatever remaining powder is on that brush. And that will ensure that the shadows that we use blend a little bit better. So to start off, we're going to be taking one of the shades in our bronzer palette. You can just use your bronzer for this step. I think it's really pretty when you have some of your bronzer color in your eye look. It just adds cohesion to the whole face. And I'm using a Morphe M433 to just lightly buff this into the crease. And I'm kind of trying to create a little bit of an upward elongated shape on the eye. You'll see it more on the other side where there's less shading from the light. But I'm just really softly running that in the upper crease, coming down to that outer corner, and keeping that kind of lifted up shape, if that makes sense. Next, I'm going to take the Anastasia World Traveler palette. This is my favorite daily palette to use. It just has a really good selection of warm colors and some fun ones, so you really have a very versatile look. I'm going to be taking the shade Fudge, which is this dark matte brown, right here, and I'm using that same brush just a tiny little bit, and I'm just going to pat it right onto the outer corner and then buff up. Perfect. Same thing on the other side. Really pat that in close to the lashes and then blend up. I'm then going to use the brush that came with the palette and take Fudge again, and using the smudger side, I'm just going to run that under the lower lashes on mostly the outer corner so I get that nice kind of blown out smoky cat eye look. And don't use a lot of pressure for this, let the brush do its own job and kind of pull the product down a little bit and definitely connect it into that outer corner. So at this stage I like to prime my lashes and let that dry for a few seconds before I go in with my other products, with like mascara. So I'm going to prime using the Dior Show 3D Maximizer Plumping Primer, and I'm just gonna do a really quick coat of that on the lashes. Perfect. Awesome. And while that's drying, we're going to work on our brows, and for that I'm starting off with the IT Brow Power. You guys know this is my favorite brow pencil. It has peptides in here that help firm and help the new hairs grow in, so it keeps your brows nice and thick. And every time you purchase one, one is donated to Look Good Feel Good for women who've undergone chemo and have completely lost their brows. So it's a really, really great product to buy because you're helping someone else out too. So I'm just starting by filling in the underside of my brow. I have a little bit more like growth to fill in. I'm trying to grow it out a little bit more on the underside. And connecting it out to the tail just ever so slightly. I'm just building up where there's sparseness in the brow. But also you kind of do want to put it everywhere just because of the peptides. You really want that formula to soak in at the root of your hairs. And then you're going to get that really nice fade. So when we come into the front of the brow, I like to draw a little line and then go upwards. You want to draw vertically in the front of our brow because that's just how the hairs naturally grow, and that'll give you a more feathered natural look. And then take your spoolie and brush at the bottom just to soften that line. You don't want a harsh, I mean, unless you want the Instagram brow look. I personally don't like it. So I like that really nice natural fade. And then we'll leave it at that. So I'm going to do the other one off camera, and then we will be right back. Okay, brows are on, so I'm going to kind of perfect any areas where I need to with the Precisely My Brow from Benefit. This is a micro tip pencil, so it'll really allow me to get very detailed with the shape of the brow. This is where you want to be careful, because it's very, very easy to be like, ooh, let me keep like making it super, super sculpted, and then at the end you have like a dark black eyebrow. So I don't like to do this every day. This is more from going out, and I'm going to show you just for the purpose of this video so you know what I'm talking about. But I'm just using this to really fill in any gaps, make that arch a little bit sharper, and the tail as well. Alright, so brows are on, and it is at this point that we can start contouring our nose if you do. I do, of course, as you guys know. And I like doing this after brows are done because you can then see where you ended your brow. I don't recommend contouring before you do anything else, like your nose. It can get very weird. But again, nose contouring also is a very, it's a very involved thing, and it can be messed up super easily. And even I'm still perfecting my technique on how I like it done. But let me zoom in a little more. But it's a really cool technique, and I do it every day, but I've found over the years of doing it, it's best to do it after your brows. So I'm taking the Kevyn Aucoin Sculpting Duo. This honestly is the only contour powder I recommend. It's very finely milled, very hard, so you're not going to go through it very quickly, and the undertone is just perfect. So I start right in the philtrum, boom, and then I kind of tilt my head back, and I carve out the underside of my nose. I don't like that my nose comes and slopes down, so I'm creating a fake shelf or point to my nose, and you want to run this on the entire underside of the nose. But make sure you're not going above where you highlighted on that nostril. And then do you see how that made my nose stop, and it makes it look like it comes to a point? Perfect. Then we're gonna start working on the upper region of the brow. Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see. I'm gonna start this actually in the brows. I'm not touching my nose yet. I'm trying to feather that product slowly, slowly down. Do you see that shadow starting to form? And then once I have that, I'm then gonna go right along the sides of my nose, basically outlining the highlight with the contour, and then lightly feathering down. Perfect. Again, we're going to start mostly in the brow, and then slowly bring that product down. Make sure you're checking your angles, and then bring that contour right along the lateral sides of the highlight, and then blend down. I also like to take a little bit on the tip and kind of carve out that little highlight that we put down first. And that ended up getting to be a little bit too harsh, so I'm just going to take my finger, kind of smudge that out. And there you go. So that would be like an everyday highlight. When I go hard, I do get it pretty skinny, so I'm going to just show you. Borderline drag, but I don't really mind. I work at Sephora, so it's always fun to have pretty harsh, fun makeup, or not harsh, but more dramatic makeup at work. And this is usually how I will contour my nose for videos and photos, just so you get that really thin, snatched look that we're all wishing we had. So my nose is nowhere near pointed or thin, naturally. And then there we go. You can see that undertone's very consistent with the natural shadows that my face actually creates, so this looks like a very realistic contour. Not up close, but from talking distance to someone or from far away or on camera in pictures, it looks great. Again, this is not a technique I recommend for everybody, but yeah. So guys, that is how we finish up the eyes, brows, and nose area. Mascara is going to be a completely separate video because it's a whole thing for me, so stop here, do your favorite mascara, or you can watch my next video on how to get perfect lashes, especially for straight Asian lashes. And I will see y'all in my next one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this series is helpful. I want to do more in-depth, like little broken down things, because some of my friends who watch my videos have told me for new beginners, some of the steps are way too involved even when I break them down in a full-length, full-face tutorial. So hope you're liking this little mini series, and until next time, bye yo.